Welcome, friends, to We Transform Wednesdays. This is a place where we bring real life transformers and tell their stories in first person. And I'm super excited because we have very special guest today. Before I go to him, let me tell you a little background is that we are trying to create a small storytelling with candid conversations with these transformers so we all can understand that there is no time to transform. We are neither early, we are neither late, we are always at the right time if we want to do what we really mean to do. So, today with us, our guest is Mr. Adam Thompson, joining us all the way from Australia. Adam is best known for his success with the Australian rock band Chocolate Starfish. With Adam at the helm as the band's iconic frontman, Chocolate Starfish earned two top 10 singles and two top 5 albums, with gold and platinum album sales for their self titled debut. This album spawned their number one hit, and that was called You Are So Vain. Love the title. And the top 5 hit that is called The Mountain as well. He earned the band the Australian Music Award for the most popular album of the year in 1994. In the year 2000, Adam created Musomagic, a platform that breathes life into mission statements and values by facilitating large-scale team song creation. I have been a part of some of them and it is absolutely mesmerizing. Team for Tunes for the companies and Outback tracks for indigenous communities are examples of some successful brands under the Musomagic umbrella. During the pandemic, Adam has reinvented his processes and brought something amazing for virtual teams and virtual audience. We will know more about this from Adam himself. He's joining us today to provide stories and valuable perspective around transformation and reinvention. But before I bring Adam to you, let me show you something, a little snippet from his most popular album, You Are So Vain.
And all the boys dream that they'll be a partner, they'll be a partner, and you're so vain. Your problem with the song is about you. You're so vain. I bet you think the song is about you. Don't you? Don't you? Oh, you had me several years ago when I was too quite naive.
I'm so excited, guys. This is so thrilling. Let me not hold it back and let me bring the man himself in front of you. Let's welcome Mr. Adam Thompson.
Alok, thank you very much. Good to be here. Good to
Thank
be
you,
here
Adam.
with you.
Thank you for joining us, Adam. Amazing to see you here.
Yeah, it's
Great,
wonderful.
great.
It's really great. Technology can still bring us close together in this virtual world.
Yes, imagine. Otherwise, for this interview, either I have to come to Australia or you have to fly down to India. Now we are right here in this room, and this is so amazing. So, Adam,
That's
let's get started. Adam, what I remember of you is that I've seen you doing this Muso Magic sessions, and they were so engaging. But when I learned about you, I realized that you started from a very small village in Australia and in a dairy farmhouse. From a dairy farmhouse to a super rock and music band, now to adding value to corporates. What has been your story? Please tell us about that.
wow. Thanks a lot. Well, it has been quite a journey, as you can rightfully see. Yes, you are correct. For the first 17 years of my life, I was the son of a dairy farmer, and it it was likely to be my future. My father had me mapped out to take over the farm and milk cows for a living. And as you can kind of see by some of the outfits, even what I'm wearing today, cows and the way my personality is don't quite match up together. So after a few years, my dad thought he's probably not going to take over the farm, so we left that to my younger brother. But it was an interesting time growing up on a farm because it gave me some values and some grounding that still are very important to me today. That's the grounding of family, the grounding of a strong community that sometimes in the major cities of the world can get a bit lost. but there was always a hunger for me to break out of this small village. And you know, our small village was about 300 people spread out amongst these farms in a very small town. So 300 people is not very many, as most Indians would know. That's, you know, that's not even half of a street in Mumbai. So there was always a hunger in me, you know, to get out and to really understand more. And I lost my mother to cancer when I was 15. And that was a real poignant change for me because for those people who I guess have lost people at an early age of their life, you know, talk about transforming. It is incredibly transforming to you either go backwards into some really bad habits or you know drugs, alcohol, or other things to cope.
Yeah.
But for me, I was really fortunate enough to have found music in the year after my mum passed, and
Hmm.
I was failing school, so I changed high schools to a neighbouring school, and at that point, this new school had a dramatic arts program,
Okay.
and that was where I first found musicals. I found that you know people could get up on stage and they could sing and they could share their energy with others. And you know, for a boy from a farming community, it was just something you know mind blowing for me, literally. And it sort of opened a small door, and I ended up in that school. That was my 12th standard, so I ended up finishing high school where it looked like I would fail, and then I went on to university the following year, and that's when things really transformed. In
Wow.
that year, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so I connect to two things so well with your story, Adam. I start from a very, very small town. I was born and brought up in Varanasi in India, and there we get connected so well to the roots and the family value system. I really to really connect to that. And second thing is that me too has been very, very, very mediocre child. In you say as you say in my early times, in my school there used to be a rank. There used to be examinations every year, and there was like a rank class one, rank 1 to 10, and then there was a grade A and grade B. I always lived inside grade A and grade B. I never went to the top 10 category. This is exactly where I was. But yes, we always find something which really, as you said, that you got a school which has music. In my life, what happened is that I got a teacher who pushed me to go on stage, and I was so scared to go on stage that I chose to do mono acting. It was an option there, because in mono
Hmm.
acting you don't need to speak. At least you're quiet and you can just act and you do your show. So you're sometimes I was pushed on stage to be comfortable with camera and stage, and I can relate so well with this story. So Adam, you were telling me something about your college. Please let us know what happened after that.
Thanks, Alok. Well, that's when, for me, transformation went to the very next level. I think there are always levels in transformation. And in that first year at college, there was summer vacation, and I needed to make some university cash, if you like.
Okay.
And so I saw this advert in the university paper that said singer wanted. And I thought, well, if, maybe I can audition. I was in the high school production of this musical, even though I wasn't a lead role, I was in the chorus only. And so I answered the ad and I went to this audition. And when I turned up, I thought it was going to be a wedding singer band that this guy was wanting. So
Mm-hmm.
maybe I'd sing at some weddings and make some little bit of cash that way. But as it turned out, he was a songwriter. And he said, well, I'm a songwriter, but I don't have anybody to interpret my songs with their voice.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever written a song? And I said, no, I've never written a song. All right. And he said, but hang on, you're the only person who answered the ad, and I've spent $50 on the ad. Would you hang, would you hang around for the day and at least make me feel like I spent my $50? So I
Mm-hmm.
did. I hung around. We wrote a song that day, and within a week, I'd finished my university course and I was a full-time musician.
Okay.
Within a year, I'd moved from this university into the major city of Melbourne and become a full-time singer touring around, and 10 years later, in an evolution of different bands, I
Hmm.
all of a sudden won that album of the year that you alluded to before, as well as platinum and gold album and singles. So it was from that very moment of taking a chance,
Hmm.
backing yourself, and I guess you've heard of that phrase, trusting your gut instinct.
Yeah, right.
So many of us don't trust that instinct, and that instinct was really clear that day, right? And of course, you can imagine my father on the farm. He finally thinks, "Oh, my son's doing something at university. He's going to be a journalist or something like that, right?"
Yeah.
And then I gave my life away for the next 10 years to be a very poor musician. But in
Hmm.
my gut instinct, I knew that I was gonna do something with it. It was just a matter of time, but I had a lot of practice, a lot of work to do. So I took singing lessons. I experimented in maybe 10 different bands before I finally found the lineup of musicians that became Chocolate Starfish. So there were
Right.
many heartbreaks along the way, as you can imagine, many
Right.
friendships that we had to get rid of for the sake of the band. The
Hmm.
band and what it wanted to do was bigger than, unfortunately, some of the friendships that would have held our success back. And sometimes
Right.
that's a really hard decision to make. So then, as you spoke about, the band then became successful for 5 years. We were on radio 10 times a day on every radio station. We were on all the
Wow.
video shows. Mega, mega success, as you can imagine. And that's all we did. We just toured incessantly. We lived, breathed, and slept in the same motels as our bandmates. So if you
Wow.
think sometimes in lockdown, you think sometimes your husband or your wife gets on your nerves. Imagine, imagine sleeping, eating, being on stage, working with the same people all for 5 years in a row, right?
Wow. This is
And
like
it's
something.
tough.
Right. So, Adam,
Yeah.
this is like something which I have seen so closely, and I can really breathe transformation from your story all around. It has been full of it, for sure. I know when I started my journey after school on stage. I was an MC, and I was also in theater. I love to act, but again, the family and the friends and people who were wiser than me in that time said this is not promising. Do something more tangible. Do something which is more promising. I was not sure. Most of my life, I've not been sure of things. So I just went and did it. And, after 8 years I spent in sales and business development, I realized that, this is not what I wanted. And sometimes in life, I really feel now is that you really don't know what do you want to do, but you know what you do not want to do.
Hmm.
You're sure about that. That's yes. Yeah,
Absolutely.
please. Yeah.
Yeah, no, if I can extend from that for our wonderful viewers and listeners, that same moment came to me. So Chocolate Starfish was 1994 to 1999. So that was that 5 year period. But by the time we got to 1999, I had this distinct feeling that that's not all that Adam Thompson is capable of doing and being. It was
Mm,
only one sum uh, of who I am and what I can possibly do. And I knew I wanted to help other people. I knew that was a part of my life that I wanted to do. And being in a rock and roll band is quite egocentric. It's quite egotistical.
mm,
So you don't really get the chance to one-on-one change lives. You
yeah.
can write a great song that people relate to,
Hmm.
but I started a charity, like you said, with the Indigenous people of Australia, the Aboriginal people who are, they're like the Dalits in India. They're poor caste, and
Hmm.
a lot of the outback people are. So I really wanted to make a difference in their lives. So I created a program. You've all
Hmm.
seen Indian Idol, correct?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, yeah. So Indian Idol is based upon, are you the best? Are you second best, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, all the way down,
Hmm.
or are you in the blooper reel where everybody laughs at you and makes fun of you? Okay.
Right.
When I saw the very first episode of the Australian version of that in the year 2000,
Hmm.
it hit my heart in a way that I knew I had to create something that was the opposite to that. I knew I had to create something which was not judgmental. I just really wanted to create something where everybody would contribute, no matter
Hmm.
how great they were or how great they weren't. If they learnt a brand new skill that day, that's
Hmm.
transforming to them. So
Yes.
if a kid who doubts he can write a lyric and he writes one or two words in that song,
Hmm.
that's been a great day for him. If a
Yes.
kid who if a kid whose parents told him you've got a terrible voice, don't sing, or his friends tease him because he might want to sing but they don't think he's very good, but
Hmm.
he participates in it and then learns enough of the skill to enjoy it,
Yeah.
that's a transformation.
Wow. Yes.
And
Great.
and yeah, absolutely. Go ahead.
Right. So, yeah, in fact, these transformations and these moments come to us all the time. The only thing we sometimes don't do when we hesitate is to embrace them, accept them, and move on. Sometimes I feel, we are too afraid to be uncomfortable. And I remember somebody told me that, you need to be uncomfortable often in a week or in a month to ensure that you're growing really in life. I guess when we get uncomfortable, we take those chances, we do something which we do not know. We know the why of it, we don't know the how of it. Things change, and things change for better.
Yes, could not agree more. And in fact, if I use the indigenous example, I'm sure it would be exactly the same in the villages 3, 4, 500 years ago in India. Uh,
Yeah.
Culturally, everybody sang, everybody danced without judgment. Yeah.
Hmm.
So this is more of a modern day thing, and social media has done us no service where
Right.
we think that we have to be the best at something to experience it. And you talked about that uncomfortableness. One of the things I pride in myself is that I always throw myself into situations where I have to try and get comfortable in my uncomfortableness.
Wow. So good.
And
So good.
trying to get comfortable in your uncomfortableness on a daily basis, yeah. And that, we all know what the pigeonholing is. It's I can
Hmm.
do this, I can't do that, this is me, this is not me, right?
Right.
But the more often you blur those lines and go, okay, that wasn't me, but let me
Hmm.
see if it can be me.
Why not? Why not? Right.
Right? And just because it wasn't me when I was 21, it doesn't mean that it can't be now when I'm 31 or 41 or 51, because we
Very true.
evolve. Yeah.
In
But
fact,
unfortunately, yeah, go ahead.
yeah, in fact, Adam, this is so true that, you have these perceptions about yourself that I have been this. Oh, can I really be that person now? One is your own personal story. One is the society around you. Sometimes they also put you in your frame. This is a man who's supposed to do this. This is the girl who is kind of good enough for that. The moment you pick up and do something else completely out of their bounds, they also take time to accept it. I have felt that happening with me sometimes. It's like, really, are you doing this? Why you were doing something else? So you will get that resistance, but those who kind of stick to it and proceed and take the leap of faith have a story to tell for sure.
Mm. Because it
Right.
feels unnatural a lot. And that's why when something feels unnatural, it promotes fear in us. And that fear is only based on how will it end or how will it turn out.
Hmm.
And none of us know, this is life. None of us know how it's going to turn out. That's the magic. Okay.
Right.
But we
Yeah.
have to push those boundaries. If I can give you an example from my own life,
Hmm.
my manager who took us through Chocolate Starfish,
Hmm.
so this was 1999, and I was asked by a school to come and give a testimonial about my journey through the music
Hmm.
and what it was like. So these school kids were excited to hear me, and
Hmm.
but you got to remember that was my first speech, if you like, my first keynote.
Okay.
Now,
Okay.
even though I've sung on stage for many years,
Hmm.
singing a melody and lyrics that already exist
Hmm.
versus communicating a message as a speaker are two
Yeah.
different disciplines, right?
Yes. Yes.
So was I fantastic at it? Probably not. The very first one, probably
Hmm.
not. But it was what my manager said to me that I guess spurred me on. He said, "Ah, that wasn't very good." He said, "I don't think you should ever do public speaking again. I don't think you should ever do it again." And he said, "Oh, when I was listening to your talk, and he said, do you ever think that, Chocolate Starfish might have been the pinnacle of your life?" And I was 31 years of age.
Oh
And
my
he
God.
is telling me, as my manager, that that's
Mhm.
the pinnacle of my life. So he told me those two things back to back, and I said, "Well, A, you're not my manager anymore because you don't have any vision." And B, if you think my life is over at 31, because I was feeling the exact opposite, Alok, and the people who are watching here today probably feel the same thing. No matter what age you are, I think it's never too late to experience something new. It's never too late to throw that leap of faith and have a go at something, right?
Mhm.
Win, lose, or draw, it's another step.
So this has been so inspiring, Adam, to kind of know your story. And I know that you have kind of transformed again in the pandemic because you were doing live shows and you were kind of flying all around the world to add a lot of value through Museum Magic to different corporates and bring so much values in helping them build their anthems. That has been incredible leap. But yes, in pandemic, you I guess again transformed and you brought something new completely. What are you doing for serving your customers now? What is happening these days?
Great question, Alok, because I'm always, as I said before, always one of those people who wants to feel uncomfortable in my uncomfortableness. I've embraced whatever the internet and whatever virtual platforms can offer, and I'm pushing these boundaries all the time. So we've already done two major online Muso Magic workshops where there were two companies with around 1,000 people in each company working from home.
Hmm.
So I had to unite them all. So they had to co-write the song with me virtually. So
Wow.
they did all this stream of consciousness writing from the heart, which generated the lyrics. Then they had to break away into breakout rooms and argue and debate about which line is appropriate, which line fits this value, and come up with a very unboring line, something that can lyrically
Hmm.
spark them. So
Yeah.
that's the lyric side. And then I made them all record their voices into WhatsApp. Each person sent through their vocal takes after they wrote the lyrics. So they had to sing
Hmm.
it, learn how to sing it, and record it to me all live. And then through the magic of Zoom, like we're on right now,
Hmm.
we set up this process where they were able to entertain with the camera and do all these awesome little movements and then we splice it all together, and these two companies now have these amazing anthems. So that's
Wow.
one.
Wow.
Number two, as I did a talk, and you were with this keynote the other night on leadership presence. There
Hmm.
was some HR and L&D people there, and one of the things that we learned is that leadership presence requires a two-way conversation. So both Alok, you and I are on camera, and we're
Yeah.
we're looking at each other's eyes. But it's amazing the
Right.
amount of people who are struggling with turning their camera on, are
Right.
struggling with their own presence and their own
Hmm.
voice and their own dynamic. So what I've created now is tuning teams where I'm coaching organizations now how to present in the virtual world, how to
Okay.
present with the same brand energy that they
Hmm.
invested in their people in the real world. They need to carry that through to the virtual world. So you need to love me as much on the camera as what you do as if I was in front of you. It's the same person. It's the same brand.
Right. I guess I can't agree more. This is so visible right now. Your presence right now in this interview talks a lot about that you're going to deliver immense value in those workshops. And Adam, and for guys who really are curious about to know what Adam does, can find a lot of links in the comment section in the section of YouTube below, so you can go ahead and find out more about him. A lot to learn from you, Adam, and this has been so inspiring. It's not one, it has been a multiple steps of transformation which you have, and I really want to thank you to share your story for us. And to our audience, thanks a lot for joining us today, but I cannot let you go without singing something for us, maybe 2-3 lines. Please do that for us.
Look, I can do that. And just before I do, I want to say thank you to you as well for having me on. The beauty about transformations is that there is no finishing line. So remember that, there is no finishing line. And it's just one experience after the next that gets you greater things in your toolkit. And the more things you have in your toolkit, the greater human being you can be.
Beautiful.
That's my theory, and I'll keep living to it. But I wrote a song, and this is one of our hits, Mountain, as Alok talked about before. And the Mountain song is really interesting, just to finish up, because there's a metaphor in the Mountain song. And I had a girlfriend at the time who could see that I was living my dream. I was finding where I wanted to go. And she said, I don't want you to be a singer. I want you to stay home and just be with me.
Okay.
So the metaphor came. She wanted me to be a mountain that stayed still, that was strong and dependable. But I would rather be a river that kept flowing and kept taking different turns, left, right, and eventually I would find my way to the ocean, my destiny. So here's some words from that.
Okay.
There once was a wrong, thought it was right. There once was truth that thought it could lie. But then they saw they were nothing new at all. After a storm, along came a landslide. Would I climb, would I swim? Time to decide. If I have to choose, I know what I'll do. You wanted me to be a mountain, I'd rather be a river, 'cause water flow can wash the hill away. You wanted me to fly, I wanna get high. How else am I gonna see what I want to see? Namaste, love you all, thank you very much.
Wow, thank you so much, Adam. I've got chills, and this is so beautiful. Thank you so much for joining us, Adam. Thanks a lot.
Thanks everybody, take care.
So guys, this was Adam Thompson joining us all the way from Australia. I was not knowing that this is going to be so deep today. This conversation was so close to my heart as well, and I guess Adam also really opened up and he shared something so valuable for all of us. I hope you were able to connect to these stories today, because when we are setting out for transformations, when we are setting out to take challenges in our lives, it is best to know from those who transformed, because it is great to learn from what they did, or great to learn from their mistakes as well. This is all about this initiative. We really want to bring those transformational stories right in front of you so that we can learn from the transformers themselves. If you have a story of transformation to be told, do get in touch with me. We'll come back again next Wednesday. Till then, goodbye.